My name is Emma, and I go to Cedar Ridge High School. One of the things that the youth group does for the seniors is allow them the opportunity to give some advice or things that they've learned throughout their time just kind of existing as a person, or like in youth or in school or in life. So one of the things that I really want to talk about is staying connected. And I think the reason that that is so important to me right now is because of our current circumstance and I'm sitting here talking to my phone rather than sitting in a circle of chairs at youth talking to you in person. Luckily though, we have been able to maintain our own circle of chairs, though it's usually through Zoom instead, or FaceTime or Google Hangouts. Staying connected to the people around you is super important. Like I can talk to Michaela about calculus exams and how Jessica can screen share High School Musical with us and we can all watch it together, even though that is more us reading the lines across the bottom because the screen itself is a little pixely and pretty choppy, so you can't actually watch it, but you get to read High School Musical together. But the first night that we did a Zoom meeting, well, actually it was Google Hangouts before we realized that we liked Zoom better. My mom was sitting and listening, and she was just having the best time, and I was too. But hearing all of us talk over each other again and crack jokes and interrupt each other because, you know, we don't know how to wait our turns, even though we're 17 years of age-ish. It's just so nice to remember that you do have people around you, even when it feels like you're stuck in your house or stuck in your room. Maintaining those connections is super, super important. And I guess this circumstance has helped me realize how important they are. Like, I have done such a good job, I think, of talking to my friends and making sure that we're still connected. And then one of the girls that I actually went out west with a few summers ago, so going out west was a trip that I took with a bunch of new people. That was the coolest thing I've ever done, ever, but I can't wait to do more cool things. Yes, a little tangent for you, but Bryn wrote me a letter, which was so sweet, and I wrote her back, and so that's awesome because she's not far, but sometimes it's easy to forget how close they are. So being in contact with her has been awesome, but there are just so many people that love you and care for you and support you in all that you do. And it's been really cool to stay connected, even though it's not physically. So staying connected with people is super, super important, but also building those connections is also super important. And I think I really figured that out my sophomore year. I felt morally obligated to stick with the same people that I had always been friends with, which it's super important, and we're still such great friends. But sometimes, actually more often than not, circumstances change, and it's good to broaden your horizons and speak to the people that might be a little bit intimidating. And what's funny is I also learned a lot about that when I went out west, because I was the youngest one on the trip. Like, I was 15 years old, and Aaron was the oldest, I think, and he was 19. So I was like, I don't know if I should be able, like, if I should go and speak to these people. Like, they're so much older, they look so much cooler. Like, I don't know if that's something that I can do. But I realized, like, around day 5-ish of the 23 that, you know, people are people, and reaching out to them and making new friends is super important. And one of my quarantine buddies that I've been seeing pretty routinely, so we're keeping our bubble small, she lives, a street over, but that way. And I really met and got to hang out with her my sophomore year, which was super important to me. It's so important to make new connections, though it is scary, and like sometimes it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but it's so important. Another thing is I am a big procrastinator. I'm easily distracted by my books. I'm easily distracted by my TV shows. I'm easily distracted by literally anything when it comes to being productive. And while I know, and I'm sure you've been told, don't procrastinate, it's really hard. So I learned this past year that though I might not want to get it done in that moment, as long as I have a plan to get it done eventually, or by the time it's due, then it's still like, that's a step in the right direction. So though I'm still not the best when it comes to like getting something and doing it right then and there, I was able to work out a system with myself where I can plan ahead or get it done the next day because I don't have dance. With that, another one that I learned a lot about was managing my time. So I am a competitive dancer and I also run cross country. So that means my fall is pretty insane and there's a lot going on. So it's super important to be able to balance the work that you're given. And another thing is sleep. It is really important to go to sleep. So I didn't have a first block last semester, which was super nice because I could go to bed pretty early, get up at regular time, and accomplish the tasks that I needed to accomplish before I went to school that day, which was super nice and I loved it. But it's just knowing yourself and knowing what you need in order to have the greatest benefit or greatest end result, which is super important. My other one is to read books. I love my books. They make me so happy and I get so attached to my books. I have favorites. I organize my bookshelf based on which ones are just my absolute favorites. So the front runners are the ones that I love and could pick up at any second. And then further back are the ones that are like kind of weird and maybe like a special circumstance kind of book to read. But I highly suggest you find something that helps you get away. So my books do. I mean, like there's times when I'm overwhelmed. When I get overwhelmed and stressed, I very much look at like my whole list of things that I need to do. And instead of taking them one step at a time, I just let it stress me out and it feels like it's too much and then I'm not productive. So I have to take them piece by piece, and sometimes my little break in between is like reading a chapter of my book, which is so helpful. Or I will wait to start homework until after dance so I can let go of everything that I needed to let go up until that point, and then come home and be focused and get done what I need to get done. I guess overall, it's really about finding a balance. Which is hard, and by no means am I balanced all the time. It's just every once in a while I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I feel good. I don't feel like I have a bunch of daunting tasks ahead of me, but it's usually that I get to that point through leaning on my friends, through going to church. Like sometimes there is that one service or that one sermon that just like gets you right in the heartstrings and you're like, yeah, that one was meant for me. And sometimes those have to knock me personally down a few pegs where I'm like, I got this, I can handle it all, I can manage it all, when I can't. Like it's not necessarily up to me all the time, which is something that I struggle with, is forgetting that I am not in control, because I'm very much a control freak and I want to know what is going on at all times. So that's another one that I've been working on, is like it's already in God's hands, but letting him handle it, because I can't do anything about it. Like I can try. Sometimes I still do. Most of the time I still do try and do something about it. But in the end, it's not up to me. So it's hard. I have a lot of struggles with it, but I advise that you start that now. Like start handing it over to God. Start finding your balance, because I'm getting to the point where I won't hop in the car with my parents every Sunday to go to church or to go to youth, because I won't be at home. And it's something that I really want to maintain is my relationship with God. So I hope to get involved with campus ministries and people who also know God. But I want to have kind of that sort of regimen instilled in me now. So balancing all of your things, literally all of them. They're all up in the air and they're all over the place all the time. And that's just how it is. Like stuff happens at the same time all the time. Like maybe there's a dance competition and my sister Rachel has a volleyball match, and Molly has a cross-country meet, and then there's also a birthday party that 2 of us were invited to, and then my dad also has a work thing, and Mom wanted to go up to the church to work on some, like, plans for Sunday school, and it's all on the same Saturday. And it's a lot. It's overwhelming. There's so many things to accomplish, but there is a higher power. There always is. And working on procrastination and balancing things and staying connected and making new friends, it's all good and it's all positive. Even though there are times when it feels like that darn chemistry equation is just smacking you in the face and you've been staring at it for the past hour and you still got nothing. You just don't understand. It's me. Chemistry is not my friend right now, but it's okay. It's so important to look for the balance, which is something that I strongly believe in. And when you can't find it yourself, you have people around you who are there to listen and to help and to pick up the phone and talk to you for an hour, or to drive over to Cup of Joe at like a 15-minute notice, or the ones who will drop off the Cup of Joe on your front porch because they know you need it, or the ones who are always happy to bring you a cookie from Weaver Street, or to go sit down with you at Weaver Street, or to walk with you. It's so important to not only lean on God and lean on yourself, just to be able to lean on the people around you, which is probably the biggest piece of advice that I could give, is that relying on yourself makes it, and only yourself, makes it so much harder to stomach. Because I tried to do that for a long time, where I thought that I could manage it, and it was up to me, and I could do it because I was strong, and I am strong. But it took me laying on my bed pretty late at night, and I just talked to God. I can't tell you how long. I don't know, but I know I laid there for a long time, like sprawled out, just talking out loud, because it's what I needed. Like, I needed to realize that it wasn't me who was to do the fixing, and I couldn't take it on myself either, because sometimes you want to take other people's burdens or other people's issues or fix people. Like, sometimes you want to fix people so badly. And actually, I have a sticky note on my wall. It's a quote from Bob Goff, and it says, "I used to want to fix people, and now I want to be with them." And this one has been so important to me, and I love it, because relationships with people are so important. But in the same breath, you can't handle everything of your peoples. Whew, that was very scatterbrained and all the things in the world, but I think they're all super important. I think they're all so important. So thank you so much for listening to me. Bye, guys.